All right, welcome back, Be Better Tribe. This is your host, Julian Alvarez. The Be Better Tribe podcast is where we explore stories, lessons, and leadership journeys that help us be better. And what's great is over the last several weeks, I had the opportunity to sit down with some incredible guests. Those are entrepreneurs, executives, coaches, mentors, and lifelong friends, as well as family. It has been completely different stories. They've been different backgrounds, different experiences, and really what I've learned is there's a lot of different definitions of success. So as I reflect back on episode 16 through 21, I started to notice something really interesting. Now, while every conversation was unique, many of the same lessons kept showing up. Um, and those lessons, like I mentioned earlier, are coming from completely different walks of life, as well as different times of things that happen in life. So whether you're just starting out in your career, whether you're in the middle of your career, whether at your latter half, the stories are different, the careers are different, the industries are different, but the same principles are there. So today, what I wanted to do is something a little bit different. I wanted to take the time to reflect back on what I actually learned, what I garnered from these conversations. And so today I'm not going to be interviewing a guest. I just want to share what I've walked away with and the biggest lessons that have really impacted me, as well as hopefully this community. And so it's going to be a little bit about leadership, growth, relationships, and life. And if you've listened to those episodes, great. Hopefully this will serve as a reminder. And if you haven't, then maybe it gives you a reason to go back and check them out. So reminder, that's episode 16 all the way to 21. But before we jump in, I want to give a quick reminder that you can visit BeBetterTribe.com and look at our latest gear, whether that's a nice crew neck here or a t-shirt. We also have the habit tracking journal that I created to help me stay on task, to get better, and to ultimately avoid procrastination. Again, procrastination is something that I've dealt with for a really long time. And believe me, I'm not perfect at it, but I did create a habit tracker journal that you can find on the website, BeBetterTribe.com, so that, maybe it can help you stay on track or, achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So that's one thing. And then also a reminder, please share this with your network. If you find that this podcast is really helping you or you find interesting, I would love if you can continue to share. It's growing and I want it to continue to grow. It's been really fun and exciting for me. So please like, comment, and subscribe and share with whoever you can. So let's jump in. All right, the first lesson that I actually walked away with and has been continued throughout every single one of the last 6 conversations that we had is you don't need to feel ready. Now, this is a really interesting topic here, but I really wanted to make sure we highlighted it, is that you do not need to feel ready. So this has come up as a big theme across all of these conversations, that you need to have the confidence to just take action, not the confidence that you are ready. So I want to repeat that. You need to have the confidence to take action even when you do not feel ready, because confidence builds through action. So all of these last conversations, they are, again, different walks of life, different industries, different careers, but they do not wait when they're ready. They take the step forward before they're ready. So whether that is Elena Winters, who's joining an AI infrastructure data center conversations, she talked about how she wasn't ready. It was extremely technical conversations, but she continued to want to learn and she took one step forward at a time. Or it was Brian Lamana, who was stepping into new opportunities before he figured anything out, but he was curious and he wanted to get better. And so growth happens when you move. Growth happens when you take one step forward at a time, which will then garner you the experience and the confidence that you need to then start achieving. So again, it is you want to make sure you're putting yourself in situations where you're going to learn, and you have the confidence to take that step forward when you do not have all the right answers. So this could be things like starting a new role or trying a new methodology, a new strategy in your role. This could be joining a larger team. It could be being a leader and you're taking on a new team. It could be a new technique. It could be launching a podcast like this. You don't want to wait to be completely ready. You want to just do it because ultimately that's where all the learnings are going to come from. And so nothing happens without taking action. I just actually made that up, and I think that sounds kind of cool. So nothing happens if you don't take action. Do not wait until you're completely ready. And if there's something you've been putting off because you're waiting to have confidence, maybe the lesson you think you aren't ready for it, go for it. Take the leap of faith. And so the first lesson that we're going to walk away with here is you don't have to feel ready to take a step forward. All right. The next thing is relationships are the real long game. And I just really wanted to reflect back here on this one key learning because I think it's so important. Those last 6 conversations were people that I've connected with in my community over over the last 39 years. Some of them I've known for my whole life, obviously my family and close friends that I've known for over 30 years. And then you have individuals that kind of stepped in certain points in my life, but all of those relationships I've been able to stay in touch with. I've been able to create, have meaning beyond that. And so what I would say, it's not just about networking. It's not about collecting contacts. It's about establishing actual relationships and building on those relationships. Because when you have individuals that are part of your life that you're able to tap into, you can go back to pieces of your life and remember exactly what's happening. You can you could leverage those conversations on when you're having a tough time. You could leverage those relationships when you're trying to connect with others to achieve something. And so what I would say is friendships, relationships, connections evolve. Stay connected with those individuals, continue to keep the door open, continue to give advice, ask for advice, have that network and openness about who you are as a person so that you can continue to build value. Because essentially, at least for me, what I've learned throughout this podcast is relationships are really what pushes you forward in your career, pushes you forward in life. And it's what it's all about. Like the Be Better tribe, and tribe is a key word here, is you're building connections with others. And that is extremely important as you're building your life, because whether it's taking a step forward in your career, whether that's taking a step forward in your family, we are a tribe. And as you build your tribe, it can really help you establish where the direction of your life is going to go. And it can help you with your career. It can help you with anything of that. So I've been fortunate enough to have really strong and amazing relationships. And this podcast is all about continuing to tap into those and sharing it with the world and sharing it with this community. And so what I would say is take a look at who you have really strong relationships with. Maybe give those individuals a call. Maybe look back at your last career and those really strong individuals that you had really close connections with at that time in your life. Maybe reach back out, establish that communication, and continue to keep that door open, because you never know what that one conversation, that one introduction, that one person willing or believing in you can do to change the direction of your life. So keep that in mind as you're continuing to build out, whatever you want in life. All right. The third lesson that I've been able to walk away and kind of pull back from these last conversations is a very simple one. And you might roll your eyes when I say this, but I truly believe in this. Consistency wins. Whether that's Connor talking about and reinforcing the determination as an entrepreneur, whether that's Brian Lamona continuing to build that network on LinkedIn and get better in sales, whether that is my uncle, my Tío Sam, who continues to push himself in the beauty industry. He's my uncle, and it's crazy to think about. He is one of the most famous hair educators in the world, and he has almost 1 million followers, and he is doing such amazing things and has achieved so many lifelong awards. But what you'll see in individuals like my uncle and the individuals that I've interviewed here is consistency is key. They do not stop. And the funny thing is, it's not that they're overwhelmed, although I'm assuming all of them feel that at some point. I feel it definitely in some times in my life, but it's about not feeling overwhelmed, but it's continuing to take steps forward and having the curiosity to keep going, because it makes them feel really good. It makes them, um, it fuels like the energy in life. And it is all about taking one step forward at a time. And so, whether you're trying to achieve, you're creating a business, you're looking for a promotion, you're trying to hit a financial goal, you're trying to be recognized for something, whatever the case may be, or whatever you're trying to achieve, always remember it's one step at a time. It's the consistency over a long period of time that's going to make you successful. And one quote that I absolutely love, it's from Grit by Angela Duckworth. Grit isn't a phenomenal book. It talks about the importance of having grit. And what I feel like is grit is really rooted and connected to consistency, which is really a key moment in high achieving people and people that are ultimately really happy and fulfilled. And so, like, what I would say is the quote that she says is grit is passion and perseverance over a long period of time, which again is connected to consistency. And so, whether you have a habit tracker or habit journal that's going to help you stay in track on track on that, or what I loved is Connor Begley shared that he has, I think, over 100 of these goal books that he's been doing over a really long period of time, which is connected to 4 goals: 2 personal, 2 professional. And what he writes down after every day during the week is how he took steps to achieving that goal. I think it's a really great reminder that the compound effect is real, and small actions repeated consistently create extraordinary outcomes over time. And so it's about showing up when nobody's watching. It's about doing the work when motivation is gone. It's continuing when progress feels slow. But growth happens when you are consistent over and over and over. And so, again, I know that message might be tough to hear right now. It might not be the one that's going to resonate with you because it's so simple and easy. However, I want to make sure I've talked to a lot of, over the last 6 weeks, 6 different people, and that is a key theme: is consistency wins. All right. Next thing is great leaders develop people. And so, whether you are a leader, whether you are a parent, whether you are somebody leading others, or you're being led, because the individuals that are leading you, you should be inspired by them. You should feel like you're getting better. And so, whether you're a leader or whether you're being led by others, you're going to fall into one of those buckets. So, what I would say is connect with great leaders, because great leaders develop people, and they help individuals find that passion that is going to drive success. And so, one of the things that I love from Mike Moriarty and my uncle Sam Villa, is they highlighted something that I've come to believe deeply: is the best leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders, which is great to see. And again, whether you are a leader or you're being led, make sure that your inner circle has those people that are pushing you. And I want to share a story that really impacted me that my uncle Sam shared, was in the episode, which is our last episode. Mr. Sam Villa, he shared a story where his father, my grandfather, took him to a beauty show with Fidel Sassoon early on in his journey into hair, when he was still in beauty school, where he wasn't really catching on. He wasn't really, I don't want to say enjoying it, but it seemed like he didn't have a strong foothold and passion for that industry yet. But my grandfather took him to this this hair show. He got there early. He went in and saw this amazing performance by a legend in the beauty industry, and it sparked this passion that I want to go do that. And from there on, he took one step at a time. He wanted to be the best. He invested in himself. He was there early. He stayed late. And it just seemed like there was a fire that ignited in him, which was really a fun thing to see. And then I looked back on and reflected back on my childhood. And I still remember this as one of my earliest memories. And there was multiple times that my father did this. He knew that I loved playing sports. He knew that I loved being competitive, and I loved getting better. And I just had this inner fire of like, I really enjoyed sports. So he would take me to high school basketball games, high school soccer games. He took me to semi-professional games. He took me to the World Cup when I was 8 years old, when it was here in the United States. And I just remember the energy and the passion. And what's really cool is I went and saw my college coach, Paul Holliher, who I had on this podcast. I saw him playing in his early 20s on a professional team. And I still remember some of the songs that they had during warm-ups, and it ignited me of like what was possible. And I knew I wanted to do something like that. And I wanted to push myself to become the best athlete I could. And it just came full circle when I I played for Paul. It was just a really thing. So whether you're leading others, you have the ability to develop great people. And what I would say is try to get them in situations where they get to see the best people and what they're trying to achieve, because that will ignite a fire, and that'll be one of the things that really help out. All right, lesson number 5 of the last 6 conversations: progression creates purpose. And so like what I would say, and the reason why I put this here is because instead of consistency, like consistency is key, is a lot of the individuals like that we've talked about is you think you're going to have all the right answers right off the bat. But what I'm finding is as you're as you're progressing in what you're doing, and as you're getting better at what you're doing, and as you're becoming more curious and going deeper into topics or a job or whatever it is, it starts to actually create a deeper purpose of who you are. And so like I feel like a lot of the times we want all the answers up front, but you forget about the progress that you need to make. So what I would say is the idea of progression, not perfection, not achievement. You just got to continue to progress. And so you got to make sure that you're staying relevant. You're continuing to learn, and you're always looking ways to improve, because when you start to struggle or when you start to feel negative or not attached to something, you're going to want to continue to tap into progression versus like progression, because then it'll create purpose for you. So many of us attach our happiness to the destination. Like, I'll be happy when I get promoted. I'll be happy when I make more money. I'll be happy when I buy a house. I'll be happy when I lose the weight. But a lot of the times we need to actually look in and realize that the progress that you make is actually going to be the purpose. It's going to be what makes you happy, not the actual result. And so enjoy the ride, enjoy what you're doing at the time, because the happiest people I've met aren't necessarily the people that achieve the most. It's the individuals that are dedicated to the process and progressing, getting better. And you know what you'll find is it's like counterintuitive, because the happiest people are really high achievers, because they continue to focus on getting better. And so like, just a reminder that stay curious, keep learning, keep evolving, because again, that is what makes you happy. And that is what a lot of these last interviews have talked about. And then the last thing is, these individuals that I've interviewed over the last 6 interviews are wildly successful. They are doing amazing things in their industry. And I'm lucky that they're part of my network. I'm lucky that I've been in touch with them. But what I've realized is humility is a superpower. All of these individuals that stood out, like that are in these conversations, are extremely humble. Regardless of all their accomplishments, their titles, they have this energy around them that they're still trying to get better, and they feel like the work is not done, and they have this humility about them that is really inspiring. And so what I saw is they're very curious, they have gratitude, and they viewed themselves as students. And that's really powerful, because the moment we think that we arrived, is often the moment we stop growing. And when we stop growing, then our ego gets in. And my Uncle Sam shared, like, let ego go and continue to be a student, continue to get better. And so humility really keeps the door open for growth. And growth is what this podcast is all about. In my opinion, that's what life is all about. So thanks so much for joining today. As we close out, I wanted to make sure I reflected back on episode 16 through episode 21, where I had some fantastic conversations and I took some key learnings so that we can all digest it and take the time to really think about it. I would encourage you to take a look at those episodes. If you've listened to them already, maybe go back to the one that inspired you most and grab another nugget of information. And if you haven't, I would really recommend you go do that. So remember, take the leap before you're ready, invest in relationships, stay consistent, develop others, commit to progression, and always stay humble. Those are the principles that showed up and are continued to be repeated, not only in my life, but also in those conversations that I had. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love that. Share this, the podcast. And next week, we're going to have another interview. We're going to have 2 interviews. Well, the next interview that we're going to have is Chris Harris. I'll give more of a synopsis in the next couple days. But Chris Harris is a leadership coach. He's was in the military. He coached Navy SEALs. He coached some of the highest performing individuals in some of the most pressure situations. So I'm really excited about that conversation and have that be live on the Be Better Tribe podcast. But as we walk away, always remember to stay consistent, stay humble, and always remember to be better. Be better. Have a great day. Take care.